Hi, Raj.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for taking some time today to share a little bit about your experience. So, you you got to a point where you decided that you needed a breakthrough.
Yeah.
And I'd love for you to share a little bit about what it was that caused you to make the decision. What were the things that were present in your life that you didn't want to have there anymore?
Yeah. Couple of important things. One more of a long-term thing, and one a short-term, like immediate problem. The long-term problem was that I, I'm a very big learner of how to become a better person, and I have been trying to work on myself. I have been working on myself for several years now, and I hit a wall where I realized there were certain aspects or certain issues that I was facing, more emotional issues that I couldn't deal with on my own, even with therapy and even with other conventional means. So one of the big ones was dealing with past kind of uh, oh, an inability to make really good decisions or really good make very uh, cool headed decisions because I felt like I was very prone to anger and sadness and many other like strong emotions. And whenever one of those emotions would get triggered, I was kind of incapable of really making good decisions or even like talking about things in a more cool and calm way. This affected my relationships in my life. This affected my relationships with friends, with colleagues, with my partner, and so on. So that was a more long-term issue that I realized that I needed to get help with. In the short term, I've been I've been looking to start a photography business. This was because I'd been taking pictures for a while with friends and stuff, and friends have been using my photos. They've been referring other friends. However, I had this limiting belief which was preventing me from charging for those photos. I just couldn't like convince myself to do it. And also the idea of starting a business felt just like such this whole big undertaking that just was overwhelming. So that was an immediate problem I wanted to work on, which is what kind of limiting beliefs are preventing me from moving forward with that business idea, and how do I get past that?
Very cool. Can you share a little bit about, because you said there were emotions that got triggered,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a lot of people would like to know because most people don't go around thinking, oh, now I am triggered. They have reactions to things. And would you be open to sharing a little bit about how those reactions showed up for you? What were the
Yeah.
symptoms?
So the biggest symptom was kind of disproportionate reactions. So, for example, um, I have colleagues at work who are really awesome people, and sometimes we would maybe there was some little thing that we disagreed on, uh, like how to do some specific little project or how to solve a problem. And these are very normal things. When you're in a workplace with a bunch of other people, there are always going to be minor disagreements. But I realized that something was wrong. One of the ways it manifested itself was that even when there were small disagreements, I felt like really, really, really angry inside and like rage, and that sometimes stayed with me for like hours or even days. Whereas when I cooled down and thought about it, or even when I was feeling angry, and the rational side of my brain was also telling me at the same time, it's like, hey, you know what? This is not such a big deal. Why are you so angry about this? But it wasn't something I could really control. It was
Right.
just like this disproportionate anger or disproportionate sadness or like just all emotional reactions. It just seemed way out of proportion to what was causing it.
And what did that prevent you from doing?
What that prevented me from doing was actually like allowing me to solve problems in a rational and a systematic way. Because when you're getting triggered by every little thing, in some sense you lose perspective of what's a real problem and what's an imaginary problem, or what's a small problem versus what's a big problem. And then at that point, every problem looks like a big problem.
Yes.
So it's hard to prioritize. It's hard to decide what's the important thing to work on. It's hard to decide which battles you need to pick when you're working with other people. It's just hard to make any of those decisions when you're just triggered.
Yes. And you're an executive, so you need to be able to make
Yeah,
decisions, good decisions, and fast
yeah,
without having emotional attachment to it.
yeah,
You need to be able to think about the greater good, or what's good for the company, et cetera. Yes.
absolutely.
Great. So do you, and we'll talk about what you're able to do now, but
Mm.
one of the things I'd love to hear about is how, from the time of decision where you decided that you wanted to go through a breakthrough, that you needed to deal with some things, and then going through the preparation phase, going through the breakthrough days, and then later integrating. Can you share your experience with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And feel free to get more specific if you need
Yeah.
to. Um, Overall, it was basically before the breakthrough day, I had about 10 days where I remember you gave me like a very detailed list of things to do, including like meditating every day, reading this really awesome book called Backbone that I really loved, um, and then doing a lot of journaling exercises, some of which you gave suggested and some of which were in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And so doing those things every day got me sort of in the mode of kind of introspecting and thinking about myself and thinking about sort of observing my life from like a third party angle and seeing, oh, these are all the things that are happening, these are all the things that need to be worked on, these are all the things that are going well. So just that kind of reflection was something that really helped during the breakthrough sessions. It sort of laid the ground for what happened during the breakthrough sessions. So during the breakthrough sessions, I think I remember we went through a lot of exercises on identifying my values, and the most interesting thing was how at the beginning of the breakthrough session on day one, when we went through a values exercise where you asked me to describe my ideal business, and then I described that in a free form where you wrote down all the values that came up, and we went through it over that. And then we repeated the exercise at the end of the second day after all the work had been done, and noticing just how, even when I was speaking free form, how the values had changed and how they were much more positive and optimistic and coming from a place of abundance. Uh, that was super, super interesting to notice.
So you noticed how not only did your feelings about starting a business, or your feelings about having a hard time starting a business, not only those changed, but also not only your perspective, but also the language that you
Yeah,
used. And you were able to tell how the motivation came from a completely different
right.
place. And the you had a very profound experience when you noticed that you weren't making decisions from a limiting place, right?
Yeah. And of course, the other really amazing thing that came out of it was the business plan that we came up. That was amazing. I think what I did not I totally did not expect that as an outcome. I'd expected some kind of emotional breakthrough before going as an outcome of this session. I did not expect that to walk out with a list of my values of my business, an understanding of how those values relate to each other, and then how they roll up to a very concrete and specific mission that felt very authentic. And it wasn't like, you kind of said, hey, Raj, here's your mission. Boom. It's more like you kind of drew it out of me, which was super amazing to realize that it was something that I had created for myself, with you sort of being the catalyst for that. And then, you helped me kind of write down, okay, based on this mission, what's your 1 month plan? What's a 3 month plan? Like starting from the 12 month, what do you want to accomplish in 12 months? Kind of roll back to like, what are you going to do at 9 months, 6 months, 3 months, and 1 month, and just having that written down. It's just, wow, that feels so good. That just takes over. That's something that I don't know of anyone who does that.
Well, I do try to bring to the world things that don't necessarily exist right now. So I'm so happy about your experience. And so what I'm hearing is that through the breakthrough process, you were able to get in touch with the things that are truly important to you, and that based on this new understanding of what's important to you, you were able to see how you could contribute to the world, what it is that you could bring of value,
Yeah.
and then create a business based on your values, your needs, and your talents and desires, right? So that means that in terms of motivation and passion and drive now, how would you describe that?
So my normal, like by normal, I mean my normal before uh, this was that my motivation used to be very sporadic in the sense that I used to get excited about something. I'm also very ADD by nature. I used to get really excited about something, do it for a little bit, and then kind of get bored or kind of just, never really finish it. Or so it was kind of like my motivation was like spike and then kind of a crash. And then like, I'm done. This is not exciting anymore, or this doesn't feel right, and all of that. Right now, with my business, my motivation feels more like it's much more smooth. It's not like spike and crash. It's like steady, like just steady. It's high and steady.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like I don't feel super excited in the sense that, oh my God, I'm gonna do this like tomorrow. I'm like, this is something I'm gonna do in the next year. So it's very slow burning, it's very calm, and it's like, I'm going to make this happen. It's going to take some time. I know that. It's going to take work, but I have a plan and I know that I'm going to do this. So I'm going to put in a little bit of work every day to do this. And that's a very different kind of motivation than the like get excited and then spike and crash.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of entrepreneurs experience, is that okay, they have this great insight and then they go out there and they're super excited and they pour all their passion into it, and before they know it, they've burned out and they don't even know how they crashed.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing here is that you have been able to go from this emotional kind of dominance, volatility and
Yeah.
and somewhat of a roller coaster before, even with your motivation, to now feeling like you have a plan and this plan isn't going anywhere and the business isn't going anywhere, and that you're going to be executing on it
Yeah.
consistently.
Yeah.
Would you say that a lot of people say that they feel like they're being more pulled toward their mission versus now feeling like they have to push toward it?
Right.
Is that something that you resonate with?
I don't, I'm not thinking of it in terms of pull and push.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm thinking of is that this mission just feels like it's part of me.
Oh, wow.
That's already there. Like because it came out of me. It's like I have created it. It feels right.
Good. Wow, that's powerful. I mean, if you can feel like it's part of you and that it's not going anywhere, then
Yeah.
then that's more powerful and can fuel you for decades to
Yeah.
come. So that's excellent. Now, if if you could pick, what is your favorite part of this whole process?
Uh, the whole process was very interesting. I thought the favorite part was the values exercise. So the way it goes is that I mean, as far as I remember, you asked me to like just kind of close my eyes and freeform visualize my ideal business, and you wrote down like keywords that came out of that. We went over at you, then you made me reorganize that and do one round of that, and then reorganize it again in a way where each value clearly supports the one above it, and then write out how that support happens. And initially I was like, okay, these are some. So I've done values exercises before, and they've always been a little bit of a letdown because you always end up with a bunch of words which all sound cool, like authenticity and patience and like presence and confidence, and like, they're all great words to have and think about, but it's never clear, like, what do you do with them?
Yeah.
Or which one do you focus on? Like, do you, should I focus on community more than systems or something like
And
that? Like,
how do you do it? How do you
yeah,
do it? Like, yes, I know that I know that, purpose is important to me, but how do I ensure that I'm creating purpose, right?
yeah,
Or how, if I know that relationships in my business are important, yeah, okay, great. But what do you do to ensure that you
right,
are building and maintaining relationships? So,
exactly. So going through that exercise, and then from the values exercise, you kind of helped me, rather just brought it out of me, like a mission statement for my business. And then that felt like magic. It's like, where did that come from?
oh,
And
it
now,
is magic.
yeah, it's like, it's no longer like a list of words, these values. I came up with 15 of them that don't feel like a list of words. They feel like living things, things that are a part of what I'm doing. And I have a clear sense of how, uh, how I'm going to live these things.
Awesome. Awesome. So if you if you were to give some tips or advice or um, some things to think about for someone who is, an entrepreneur like yourself, maybe they're also an executive who wants to start a side business, or anyone who wants to start a side business, or maybe they are in a part of their business where they feel like they've hit a ceiling or a wall, uh, and they would like to create some momentum. What would you say to someone who's considering going through a breakthrough process?
So I think it's what really helped lay the foundation for me was doing all the prep work, like making sure that you kind of do the introspection. And it doesn't really matter that much. Like, I mean, you'd given some tips about like, or a book to read and all that, but ultimately what matters is just finding a way to look into yourself and look into yourself from a little bit of a distance and see what's going on, so that you have some idea, and then also have a vision for, even if you feel like it's not possible right now, which is you're probably feeling because you're going for a breakthrough session. If there were no limiting beliefs or barriers right now, what would your ideal life look like? Being able to think about that, uh, without letting the negative voices come in the way. Just being able to like think about that, because once you can think about that, then Karenina will help you figure out how to make that happen.
How to make it happen. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I am really excited. I feel like you are so in alignment with your mission, with your business plan, your plan of action, and your energy levels and your health, and just your mood is incredible these days. So I can't wait to continue seeing your development and see where you're going to be at in 3, 6, 9, and 12 months. And even in a couple of years, I want to see, I look
Yeah,
forward to seeing where
absolutely.
you're going to be.
Absolutely. And I can't wait to see how your business and services evolve. I mean, you're just this whole business plan thing that you came up with recently is just such an incredible value add to anyone. I mean, that's just that takes it way above anyone else.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you so much. And we will check back in soon.
Yeah.
Take care.